Let me ask you this, Mike. You see adoptions coming, and 5 years, you think it could trade much higher. What that would be, a 10 bagger at least, maybe even more.
So part of that is where I travel. I see people wanting to buy. Why isn't it going up right now?
It's going to be transactional then. Because people still say they're not. You're never going to use Bitcoin for transactions. It's always going to be digital gold because it's too volatile and it doesn't fit the smell test for using it as a currency. You think it eventually will be a currency?
I don't think it'll be a currency. I think it will be a store of value. Okay. I think there'll be listen, Ethereum is already trading like a currency, right? It's the currency of culture. When people buy NFTs, they say, how many ETH do it cost? Oh, it was 1 ETH, it was 3 ETH. And so I think you're going to have this world where we have opt-in communities. Like people are opting into the Bitcoin community. There are literally more people that own Bitcoin than live in Russia. It's the 8th largest country in the world by participants. They freely opted in and said, we believe in this ethos of this community, which is a hard money way to store our wealth. And I think that will gain momentum as trust continues to break down. Listen, if Jay Powell and Janet Yellen can get our economy back to 2% inflation and have our debt come back because growth is so high and we go from 140 debt to GDP to 70, Americans won't have to buy Bitcoin. Right? But if you were in Russia, you feel pretty stupid having all your money in ruble. Or if you were in Turkey, you feel pretty stupid having all your money in the Turkish lira. And so when there is bad stewardship of economies, which our stewardship has not been great, let's make no bones about it, Bitcoin provides a great alternative.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And we have Mike Novogratz again. Bitcoin is not a currency and it is a store of value. And guys, we know Bitcoin is a currency. We know how to go back and read the white paper. It was supposed to scale until the central banks got their hands on it. And Blockstream created Bitcoin Lightning. And don't forget, Blockstream has mining, satellites, and they also work with Bakkt. But Bitcoin is not a store of value. It was labeled as a commodity for a reason, and we know crypto means what? Hidden message, hidden meaning. These cryptos are for the robots, algorithms, and drones. But right now, we price Bitcoin in fiat. Why did Bitcoin pump to over 60,000? Because the Fed used fiat to pump it. Now the Fed is raising rates and is about to shrink this balance sheet to destroy this economy in the name of killing inflation, which they cause. Remember, the New World Order creates the problem. They wait for the reaction, and then they run in with the solution. What is the solution, guys? XRP, XLM, Bitcoin Lightning. What do all three of those do? Free up liquidity. What is it going to cause? Hyper-deflation, which will put a lot of people out of work, but then they're going to bring in the robots, algorithms, and drones. And the Americans are not going to work with these robots. So guess what they're doing? Using the same playbook, immigration. And guys, the big news what nobody's talking about. Because the Fed is going to start raising rates. Remember, the LIBOR ended December 2021. Is going to be completed in June or July of 2023. And if you have my book, LIBOR was the biggest financial scandal in history. And absolutely nobody, and I mean nobody, goes into detail about it. But guys, Ameribor is about to start cranking up. And Ameribor is built on Ethereum. And we know the Fed is going to have SOFR, which is a secured rate. Ameribor is unsecured. But guys, you're talking about it's going to be attached to over $200 trillion. You heard that correct. So when they say that XRP and XLM and Bitcoin Lightning can free up liquidity, they're talking about hundreds of trillions of dollars. Please go watch my Ameribor videos. But guys, we're about to go through some of the toughest times in American history over the next year and a half to 2 years. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
What do we need to know about this benchmark that I think many of us may not have heard of before?
It's a weighted average of interbank lending that occurs in a given day. We have 127 regional and mid-sized banks and 1,000 community banks. So it's really a market-based benchmark, which LIBOR was not.
So Richard, LIBOR, it's going away in 2021. It's been, basically scandal-ridden in the past few years, which is a reason why it's being phased out. For those that aren't familiar, it's a key transmission mechanism for, central banks to kind of get their interest rate targets out there. It's also used to benchmark instruments like swaps and also collateralized loan obligations and whatnot. Now, you serve mostly community banks, is that correct? Why is that? And, how is that different than maybe what the Fed is proposing as its own alternative?
Two things. We represent regional mid-sized community, and what distinguishes us and why we started this venture is it was amazing to me in 2011 when the scandals broke that America, the world's largest economy, did not have its own benchmark. How could it be that a $20 trillion economy was having rates set in London by 18 banks calling each other?
Yeah, now that you explain it that way, it does seem ludicrous.
It's ludicrous. And so we trademarked Ameribor, we filed for a patent and said, let's get an American-based benchmark, and one that's not a poll. Remember, LIBOR was like electing the U.S. president by a Wall Street Journal poll, okay, as opposed to having an election. You had 300 million a day trading that called for pricing on $200 trillion based on 300 million and a poll.
But Brian says the Fed has an option?
The Fed has an option, and we're different from the Fed.
Yeah.
The Fed's option is a risk-free rate. It's based on the repo market. It's collateralized by government securities. Ameribor is an overnight unsecured rate, so it's got a credit alternative and really represents not the yield on government securities, but the yield on borrowing and lending on an unsecured way. And that's how most lending occurs to auto dealers, to corporates. It's all unsecured.
Pitch to companies right now and saying we need to start indexing your instruments to things that are not LIBOR.
Well, we started in 2011. Everybody said, go back to Chicago. We don't need it. LIBOR is going to be here forever. We have zero interest rates. There's no need to plan for everything. In the same way, the journalism schools didn't start using PCs until well after 75. It took 5-10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And all innovation, industrial inventive activity, financial inventive activity, interest rate swaps, financial futures, junk bonds, mortgage-backed securities have a 10-year gestation period. Markets have to be built. They're not like spontaneous combustion. And this means educating the accountants, educating the lawyers, educating the treasurers, educating the ALCO committees, going to academic conferences, having it introduced in MBA programs, speaking to 23-year-old graduate students who, by the time they're practicing, they've learned about it in college.
It's exhausting.
That's a lot, yeah.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.